They say knowledge is power, but that's just scratching the surface. The real power comes from understanding how people's minds work. I'm talking about applied psychology, the kind that figures out what makes people tick. Once you understand how humans think, you can start to see the cracks in the system. You can exploit those tendencies, influence them covertly, plant ideas in their heads. Use these techniques wisely, because once you open this door, there's no going back. So, you've got beef with someone, right? Maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's your significant other's annoying friend. You want to get them on your side, but you're not about to bake them a cake. This is where old Ben Franklin comes in. Yeah, the kite guy. Turns out he was a master of human psychology. The trick is to ask them for a favor, and not just any favor. It's got to be something small, almost insignificant. Could be something as simple as borrowing a pen, asking for directions. The point is, it requires them to do something nice for you, even if they don't really want to. Now, here's where the magic happens. Their brain, it's wired to avoid contradictions, so they just did something nice for you, right? But they don't really like you. That creates a cognitive dissonance, like a glitch in the matrix. To resolve this, their brain goes, well, I just did something nice for this person, so I must actually kind of like them. This one's a classic, especially effective in romantic relationships, but it can be used in other areas too. Imagine this. You meet someone and from the jump, it's like fireworks. You're showering them with compliments, gifts, attention, affection. You're basically mirroring their ideal partner, fulfilling their every need. Now, on the surface, this might seem like genuine affection, right? And that's the beauty of it. See, most people, they crave love and validation, but here's the catch. You're not giving them time to develop genuine feelings. You're overloading their system with so much positive reinforcement that they become addicted to it, dependent on it. By the time they realize they're in too deep, they're already hooked. This one's all about messing with their emotions, creating a cycle of highs and lows that leaves them feeling off balance. Think of it like a casino. You win some, you lose some, but you're always chasing that next high. You start by being incredibly charming, attentive, loving even. Then you flip the script. You become distant, cold, maybe even a little cruel. You withdraw your affection, leaving them wondering what they did wrong. Then just when they're at their lowest point, you come back with even more intensity. You shower them with affection, apologize, maybe even shed a few tears. This back and forth creates a powerful bond, making them dependent on you to regulate their emotional state. Chapter 4. Gaslighting, planting seeds of doubt. This one's straight out of a psychological thriller. We're talking about manipulating someone into questioning their own sanity. It's dark, it's insidious, and it's more common than you think. The key here is subtlety. You start by planting little seeds of doubt. You question their memory, their perception, their version of events. You deny their reality, offering your own twisted interpretation instead. You're imagining things that never happened. You're being too sensitive. These are the phrases of a gaslighter. You chip away at their confidence, their sense of self, until they're left feeling confused and dependent on you for validation. Chapter 5. Forced teaming, creating an us versus them mentality. This one's all about building artificial bonds through shared experiences. Even if those experiences are negative or manufactured, it's about creating a sense of us versus them, drawing a line in the sand and making the other person feel like they're on your side. You start by identifying a common enemy. Maybe it's a rival co-worker, a gossipy neighbor, or even just a vague, undefined them. The key is to make it seem like you're both under attack, that you're in this together. This shared sense of adversity creates a powerful bond. You're creating an us versus them mentality, and in their eyes, you're on the same team. Chapter 6. Overloading, short-circuiting their critical thinking. Ever been in a situation where you're just bombarded with so much information, so many demands that you just shut down? That's overloading in action. It's about flooding their cognitive circuits, overwhelming their ability to think critically. You can overload someone with information, burying them in a mountain of data, statistics, or complex arguments. You can overload them with requests, hitting them with a barrage of demands, favors, or obligations. The goal is to get them to a point where they're just reacting, not thinking. Chapter 7, Door in the Face. The Art of the Strategic Retreat. This one's a classic negotiation tactic, but it works just as well in everyday life. It's about starting with an outrageous request, something you know they'll refuse, then compromising with a smaller, more reasonable request that you actually wanted all along. Imagine this. You need to borrow $100 from a friend. You could just ask them straight up, but you know they're more likely to say yes if you make it seem like you're making a concession. So you start by asking for $500, then you hit them with the real request. Okay, how about just $100 then? Chapter 8. That's Not All. The Never-Ending Upsell. This one's a favorite of late-night infomercials and shady salespeople, but it can be surprisingly effective in everyday life. It's all about creating a sense of urgency and overwhelming the other person with value, even if that value is largely illusory. Imagine this. You're at a flea market haggling over the price of a rug. The vendor starts at $100. You counter with $50. They keep piling on the extras, making it seem like you're getting an incredible deal, even though you never actually agreed to the initial price. Chapter 9. False incentives. Dangling the carrot on a stick. This one's all about motivation, but not the good kind. We're talking about dangling a carrot on a stick, promising a reward that never materializes or was never actually attainable in the first place. Think of it like this. You're trying to get someone to do something for you, something they don't really want to do. So you offer them a juicy incentive. Maybe it's a promotion, a raise, a chance to win a prize. The key is to make the reward seem just within reach, tantalizingly close, but ultimately out of grasp. Chapter 10, Foot in the Door. The slow and steady approach. This one's all about building momentum. It's about getting someone to agree to a small, seemingly insignificant request, then gradually escalating your demands over time. Think of it like boiling a frog. If you throw a frog into a pot of boiling water, it'll jump right out. But if you put it in a pot of cold water and slowly raise the temperature, it won't notice until it's too late. You start with a request so small, so trivial, that they barely even register it as a request. Chapter 11. Feigning urgency, the power of now or never. This one's all about bypassing rational thought, tapping into that primal instinct to react quickly in the face of perceived danger or scarcity. It's about creating artificial deadlines, limited time offers, and a sense of now or never urgency that forces people to make snap decisions without thinking things through. Think of it like those Black Friday sales where people are literally trampling each other to get their hands on a discounted TV. They're not thinking clearly. They're reacting to the fear of missing out. You can create this same sense of urgency in everyday life. Maybe you're trying to sell something. You tell them it's a limited time offer, that the price is going up tomorrow. Chapter 12. Social proof, the herd mentality. This one's all about tapping into our primal instinct to follow the crowd. It's about exploiting the fact that we're hardwired to conform, to do what everyone else is doing. Think about it. You're walking down the street and you see a huge crowd gathered around something. You're curious, right? You want to know what's going on. You assume that if all those people are interested, it must be something worthwhile. That's social proof in action. We see others engaging in a behavior and we assume it must be the correct or acceptable thing to do. You can use this to your advantage in countless ways. The key is to make it seem like everyone's doing it, that it's the social norm. Use your powers wisely. So there you have it, folks. A crash course in the dark arts of persuasion. These techniques, they're powerful tools. They can shape thoughts, influence actions, change the course of people's lives. But like any tool, they can be used for good or evil. Use them wisely, because once you open this Pandora's box, there's no closing it.